What kind of a weapon would you use to execute a weird little attack like that? Well, a weird little weapon, one of my favorite types, a flat sap. Historically also known as a slapper, slapjack, beaver tail, and more. And this was made by Jack Cutting. You can see the logo right there on the little leather disc. I want to thank him very much for sending me this fine piece of work, which I've been carrying with me every day since it arrived. It just about gotten to the point where all my flat saps were antiques, so I didn't have a good one for carrying around. There's a logo again. But this is a double thank you video because I'm making it in deepest gratitude to Alec Smith, who backed the creation of my book Deadly Ingenuity, Amazon's #1 new release in weapons and warfare this week. And as I said in my previous weapons book, the flat sap is one of the strangest little weapons ever invented. There's the business end. You saw that swelling of lead. You can easily see the quality of work with the stitching. Nice even stitching all throughout. This is a medium Texan. As I'm sure many of you know, Buchheimer was the primary maker of flat saps back in the day. And if you look at the bottom left, you will see the Texan model. It's the 4th biggest of the 5 models shown, and it was really the biggest of the standard models. Here's an antique example that's up for sale, boy, a well-worn one, and you can see how much bigger it is than the one we're looking at today. So yeah, the Texan name is because it's inspired by this historical model, not because it's made to these exact specifications. Now let's play around a little bit with ours. And yeah, that hurts plenty. You might have heard me grunting in the background. That was not for dramatic effect. Now how about a sound test, if you will? Some door knocking for comparison to the punches. And yes, I'm going to baby my new sap by putting a napkin this time. I think that was actually a worthwhile test. I was barely swinging the sap, as you can see, and it just tells you everything you need to know about the force multiplication that it provides. Not all flat saps are truly flat. This is one of those types, and that means more pain on the receiving end. Saps and blackjacks in general are best used against bone and bone on the surface, so that right there, good God, that would hurt and probably end hostilities. And again, because of the swelling this one has, there's not much of a difference between the edge-on versus quote-unquote flat. Back of the hand, same thing. So if it's going to make a difference, it's probably going to be more on muscle. And yeah, here I would say the edge-on strike makes a pronounced difference between the flat side. That isn't so flat, like we talked about. Elbow is always a great target, bones at the surface, and especially small ones. Now let's do a slow motion swing here. Flat saps, traditionally speaking, have a flat spring steel section in the middle. Does that slow down or speed up the strike? Well, it depends. It slows it down relative to having no connection in there if it was just the leather. The weighted striking head would swing more freely, but it does also encourage it to kind of snap back into place, thereby imparting extra momentum. Like you saw there, and kind of at the very start of the video, that real short snapping strike I did straight into the face. So it's an underappreciated timing thing, in my opinion, on traditional flat saps that have the flexible flat steel in the middle, maximizing its usefulness in getting some extra pop. So it's a multiplier, even though it does slow the whole thing down relative to if it was not in there at all. And so it kind of reduces the top speed, if you will, the maximum speed, but it does work as an accelerator. And then meanwhile, with the edge-on karate chop type swings, well then, that flat shank really helps a lot. Because of course it does not flex in that direction. Beautiful item here, as you can see, really well put together. You can see the color on the leather much better when I move in. Flat saps, it's almost easy to underappreciate how strange they are. It's a basically flat, semi-flexible, small impact weapon. Now try to think of another fighting tool that fits that description. Here I'm trying to demonstrate trapping the arm with one hand and slapping the elbow with another, and here just free swinging, because 45 degrees down is how the elbow naturally points. Classic knockout spot behind the ear, and if I did that hard, my knees would buckle. Collarbone is a historic target for this kind of a thing, and so is a little bit less publicized the tip of the shoulder. And that freaking hurt. You heard that, and this is just my iPhone, and it's kind of far away. How would you use a strike like that? Against the inside of the lead leg, and that's enough to start causing some pain, so I better stop. And these were ambush-friendly tools, as I've talked about in other videos, so straight out of the back pocket where it's unseen and into an uppercut, or a lateral strike. Now the historically accurate, but I think probably rarely utilized reverse grip. Slip your thumb through the loop and quick draw. It's fast, but as you can see, the weapon is left in the hold of the reverse grip that is always less used with weapons, whether they be sticks, swords, whatever. But we're not talking about those, we are talking about flat saps. In particular, this beauty from Jack Cutting. So once again, thanks to him, and thanks very much to Alex Smith for backing my next book. A Deadly Ingenuity, a history of unusual weapons from around the world and across time. I'll have links to Jack's catalog and that kind of thing in the video description. And talk to you all later. Bye.